September 29th, Friday, 7 p.m. Mountain Time, 2017. You're looking at pictures. This is a picture, one of two that were sent to me this week by a couple that delivers goods via tractor trailer, semi-truck, across country in North America. They're very familiar with the landscape, drive past the Mississippi River that you're looking at right here all the time. They don't normally see it without water. And I want to thank them for sending me these pictures. I also want to thank MG for sending me this Mississippi River at Memphis hydrograph, showing that it is indeed dry, confirming where these pictures came from, near Memphis and the Arkansas area. And I will show you here at the advanced hydraulic map. This is a map of the river heights, river stages. We're looking at the Mississippi right now. The brown squares you see are showing us that, in fact, that river is dry in these places. Low stage is 6 feet. It is at 2.2 feet and lowering. And that was at Tiptonville, Tennessee. Caruthersville, Missouri, 3.3 feet. Low stage is 7. Now we're going to go down to Arkansas, Osceola, Arkansas. It's measuring a negative 5.4 feet. Low stage is 0. Well, this is bone dry, and I think this is where one of the pictures was from. Maybe both. Mississippi River at Memphis, this is the one I just showed you, negative 5 feet. Low stage is at 5 feet. So I think they determine low is when it's too low for barge traffic. Here's another one, Mississippi River at Tunica River Park, Mississippi. And low stage is 9. It's at 6.1 and plummeting. Mississippi River at Helena, Arkansas, 1.18 feet. There's no way a barge can travel in that. A lot of our grain exports, in fact, probably a huge percent of the grain exports, especially from the Midwest, are delivered to the Gulf of Mexico via the Mississippi River on barges. There's a huge network that haul grain from even the Chicago area up in the northern plains. This is the area I grew up near these silos. I kind of know how this works. This grain is harvested. It's sold before it's even harvested. It's put in these big silos. Those are dryers at the top that dry the grain. Once it's dried to a certain level, it's transported over into the barges. And like I said, it's already bought and sold in some cases before it's even harvested. And that is all under the premise that it can be put on a barge and sent down the Mississippi River and shipped to the appropriate buyer, whether it be overseas in most cases, South America, China. I know they get a lot of grain from America. And right now, the way it's looking, if the Mississippi is like that, there's no barges getting down to the Gulf of Mexico. No way. And I even asked the people that took these pictures, if, in their opinion, if they thought that a barge could get through there. And they responded back and said no. And like I said, they're truck drivers. They drive across the country daily. They're very familiar with the landscape of America. This caught them by surprise. They were not expecting to see that. One thing you need to keep in mind, the Midwest is in no shortage of water. Had a superstorm back in June that flooded Branson, Missouri, and Missouri in general got a lot of water, so the water table is up there. This is a river stage near Clarksville, Tennessee, that, courtesy of Hurricane Harvey, went up 40 feet in a matter of about 12 hours, flooding. So there's an abundance of water in Tennessee, an abundance of water throughout this entire area. So much water that when Hurricane Harvey made landfall, there was some concern that it might not recognize the difference between the warm waters of the ocean and the warm, moist soil of the land, because there's been so much water through here. So it's definitely not because of a drought. Unreal. So that is a big deal, guys. And those river levels in the Mississippi, for whatever reason, are extremely low. Water, it seems like, is moving in ways that are a little unusual, to put it mildly, all over the globe. And we're only seeing and hearing about probably a fraction of it. What you're looking at now is storm surge in northern Alaska. This is today. A storm is brewing, strong winds, storm surge of 1 to 2 feet above normal tides, and 5-foot waves breaking on the beaches of northern Alaska today. This area here is under a land hazard warning. Marine warnings up in northern Alaska. Again, water being sloshed around like we saw in South America. You know, that was, again, highly emphasized that wind did that. And why don't we hear about it all the time, then? It should be a weekly occurrence, you know, if the wind did in fact do it. We've got some more rain, unfortunately, headed towards the Keys, headed towards Florida. The situation for the next week looks very wet for the entire state of Florida, up into Georgia, quite possibly looking at another tropical storm or two in less than 10 days. And that's in the mainland. I tried to get a look at northern Alaska the best I could. You can see a storm turning up there, but that's not anything unusual. See that all the time. So I'm not so sure that that is the culprit. Maybe it is. I don't know. You're going to see some larger sea swells. This is in Miami. Southern tip of Florida is going to see some large waves. This is for today and tomorrow. And it's not even full moon yet. So I'm not sure exactly what's instigating this. We saw some large waves as Hurricane Irma made landfall. But this is just an 11-foot 2 wave off the coast of Miami for several hours, starting tonight and into tomorrow. Here's the GOES infrared looking at Florida. This is a potential storm in the making. Right now it's just a tropical depression. Probably not enough time to make it into a full-fledged tropical storm or even a hurricane. Nevertheless, it's going to deliver a lot of moisture in bands to the entire state of Florida, which they do not need. There's Alaska that I showed you again, and here is, you're going to see what could potentially be a storm right there making landfall around October 7th, right there, into the southern tip of Florida, almost exactly, maybe 50 miles to the east of where Irma made landfall, around the Everglades, right in there. You can see it for yourself. It goes left, and then it goes right out over the eastern seaboard into the Atlantic Ocean, and that's not until the 10th or the 11th. So staying over Florida for like 36 hours. So that's not a good scenario. And then there's another storm over here on the Pacific side that does come up inland into Arizona as a tropical depression, but that is actually a very significant storm, possibly Cat 4 status, but that's in the Pacific, and again, that's several days away. So a lot can change between now and then, but we'll definitely keep an eye on it for sure. But right now, the Mississippi is running dry in some areas. Not sure exactly what the culprit is. I know it's not wind, that's for sure. And I don't know how this is affecting the grain trade situation. All of that grain that's sitting in those silos up there right now is already sold. It was sold a long time ago. And it should have been shipped down the Mississippi, or should be being shipped down the Mississippi. There are nations that depend on that grain. Not only America, but other nations too. That's part of a huge international trade mechanism that is very, very important on the global scene. And if barges cannot get down through here, then that is a huge problem. But that's the way it looks right now, guys. The Mississippi River is bone dry in some places. And if you see any pictures of bone dry lakes, rivers, streams, see the ocean out farther than what you think it should be, send me a picture at reports@mrmbb333.com. Thanks for watching, and be safe out there.